Another quote from Waking the Tiger by Peter Levine. This one, I think, kind of speaks to the importance of emotional neglect, which I think is a trauma that a lot of us tend to invalidate in ourselves because we somehow think of it as smaller or lesser than physical abuse or any kind of abuse. Anyway, here's the quote. After the 1994 Los Angeles earthquake, it was these families, often from third world countries, who camped, ate, and played together that fared better than many middle class families. Those who remained isolated, obsessively watching replays of the disaster and listening to interviews with geologists claiming that the big one is yet to come, were much more susceptible to the traumatic effects than those who supported each other in community. Several of my colleagues from Los Angeles reported that ornamental carp, or large goldfish, in their garden ponds formed into tight groups some hours before the earthquake. They remained that way for several hours afterwards. I was told a similar story by Nancy Harvey, a consulting ethologist from San Diego Wildlife Park. I asked Nancy whether animals exhibited trauma-like symptoms after the fierce Southern California fire burned up the edge of the antelope habitat. She said that they hadn't, and she described a curious behavior in which the impala and other antelope populations formed groups away from fences and remained together until the fire was extinguished. This guy is the creator of somatic experiencing therapy, and he kind of comes to a lot of the conclusions that he does based on comparing us to animals, and specifically from the populations of animals that we have evolved from. And so I think the fact that animals have this natural tendency, and just people from non-US cultures have a tendency to come together in community and to support each other after trauma, speaks to how we are supposed to have a natural instinct to do that, and how kind of our cultural practices have convinced us not to do that. But I also think that if we accept that being together in community can help lessen the impact of trauma afterward, then when you think about a child who is in a family where they are emotionally neglected and does not have the sense of support that they should have after they go through something challenging, I think that can really explain why emotional neglect can be so incredibly traumatizing, because it just takes kind of the ordinary, unavoidable traumas of life that any kid goes through, and it makes them worse through that lack of support and community.